So are wuxia films becoming more inspired by anime, or was anime inspired by wuxia films? I can't tell anymore. It's amazing to see the versatility of an actor like Donnie Yen, because normally with martial arts films you would see someone do more grounded work, like with Ip Man, or do more fantastical wuxia style films, such as this. It would either be one or the other, and so it's always fun to see an actor that can do both. I haven't seen this film yet, so I can't say for certain what the plot is like, what the action overall is like, but I am definitely eager to see it just based on this trailer. Time for a quick fire travel Q&A. Where did you go? Florence, Italy. Here's the view from our hotel room. What did you do? Saw this bridge. What did you see? That bridge. Any souvenirs? A knife! And a book. What will you miss? The culture. Favourite place? The Uffizi Gallery, but just the outside. Any regrets? That I accidentally kept saying good morning to everyone because I thought they meant hello. No maidens? No maidens. Good food? Oh, yes, it was Italy. Would you go back? Yes to Italy, no to Florence.
Aikido is just not the way to go. It's just not that effective a martial art in real practice.
I get where Joe is coming from here, but I have to disagree. The argument is that while the principles of Aikido are solid, they're not as effective in modern day use. So if the principles are sound, but it's not as effective without additional training, then that leaves a lot of martial arts on the cutting room floor here. The same argument could also be made for BJJ for not having striking techniques or defense. Same argument for boxing because it doesn't do kicks. You see what I'm saying here? It's the same argument as saying that a chisel is not a good tool because you have to use it with a hammer. Just because a martial art is specialised, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad or ineffective. It just means that there's additional training that's involved. It's just another tool, like the hammer or chisel. We just may need to use extra tools with it. I can't believe it, this is my first time doing sparring! Oh my god, it's gonna be so amazing, I'm so excited! Let's do this! Oh, this is gonna be awesome! I like the enthusiasm, rookie. But since it's your first time, we'll go easy on you, okay? Okay, let's go! Ooh! Alright? That was awesome! Let's do it again! Hey man, can you help me work the pads? I do not trivialise myself with such things. I prefer the art of non-fighting. Okay, you do you. What did you say about my mother? Hey, who wants some? I'm getting all of you right here, right now, come on! Who invited that guy? You see this? You see these hands? These are deadly weapons. Every single one of you're gonna be slabs of meat. Every single last one of you. Do we have a problem here? Oh, you want a problem? You got a problem right here? I'll give you a problem, buddy. You run me. Have you heard the good news? I can't believe this. I wanted mint chocolate chip, not people flavor.
Shut the hell up.
You may need to tell me my name because that last throw gave me a concussion. Boy, you think this death is embarrassing? Just wait till you see MK11. Linda Lee almost immediately consented to an autopsy to discover the cause of just what had happened to her husband, performed by the British government forensic laboratories 3 days later. On the 3rd of September, an inquest was opened into the death of Bruce Lee. The evidence showed that Bruce's brain had swollen from 14,000 grams to 1.125 times its size. It was finally determined that Bruce had suffered an allergic reaction to the aquagesic. But hold on, that leaves a lot of evidence on the floor here. I mean, what about the earlier health scare and near-death experience? Or the factor of the heat in both cases? Or just the fact that the reaction to the pill was so violent for one of the healthiest men in the world at the time? This just seems like such a slapdash conclusion for one of the highest regarded institutions in the world. And that's because it kind of was. Lee's body fat percentage at the time of his passing was exceedingly low at around 1%, which we ourselves have documented looking through his films of how much weight he lost during the process of working on his various projects. and little time to rest between projects. He regularly ate cannabis leaves and nibbled on hash brownies, such as he did before the first health incident, explaining how he did this as a form of stress relief to, quote, slow down time and better process information with how hectic his life had become. And process is the right word, as without the regular levels of body fat and a much faster metabolism, it's posited that Bruce was more susceptible to the effects of the active ingredients in both substances, with the heat most likely catalyzing the process further in both cases. Recent evidence also claims that Bruce's kidneys had been damaged in the line of his work, making it more difficult for his body to process the compounds. The headache pill likely only exacerbated the already present issue.
Ready, kid? You alright?
It's that kind of day. Okay, let's start with a nice 1-2 combo. Why are you running? Okay, ready to do the high kick? Do you mind lowering it a bit? Lower? 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 Do you want to learn to fight, half pint? And watch. You see what I did to the bag? I will protect this child with my life.
Father will kill me.
You can blame it all on me. You're going to lose if you don't, so just go ahead.
I'd say that's the worst AA sponsor since the last one Stephen King wrote.
Two at once?
Why is the rum gone? Jackie Chan used it.
What does it mean when there's a picture of a skull?
Good stuff.
Either that or it's something a hipster fermented.
Go stairs to the barrel.
Craig Revelhorn. 10.
Jeffrey mocks other martial arts. I mean, why wouldn't he? His martial art is so great. A martial art needs to be effective, and surely there was nothing to learn from all these other martial arts. So Jeffrey mocks them. Adonis. Adonis has gotten to the very top of his martial art, but he doesn't stop there. He looks to other sources, to other martial arts, and learns from them. He humbles himself before masters of other disciplines, and he takes in their wisdom, and once he has taken in all he can, he goes back to his martial art and integrates what he has learned. But he doesn't stop there. Adonis sees other people working on their martial arts journeys, and he encourages them. He's proud of their progress, and encourages them to keep going. Although many see Arkham Batman as one of the most definitive versions in terms of character, fighting ability, intelligence, and overall endurability, with many seeing him as a successor to animated Batman, both played by Kevin Conroy. But there is one quality which the animated Batman has in spades more so than Arkham Batman: compassion, with the actor even stating that Batman's compassion was his most endearing quality. Remember, he doesn't put his foes into prison or to an executing block. He places them in an asylum, a hospital, a place of healing. He'll give petty criminals who just need a chance, a job, and stability for himself and for his family, actively working to improve the city by day as much as by night. When it comes to martial arts, and most of all traditional martial arts, the biggest misconception that comes about is surrounding form work, or kata. The idea continually being that form work is either ineffective or just useless, or simply a waste of time. But that is where we're going to have to disagree. A lot of this misconception comes about due to sources such as Chinese martial arts. But let's look a little bit deeper. The purpose of form work is to practice or train muscle memory. If you go in a drill where you go for a punch, uppercut, front kick combo, guess what? You just did form work. It's memorizing and getting used to the blueprints of the techniques to then apply them in an activity such as sparring. All it often is that it requires the hard work necessary to apply the steps, takes a great deal of application and sometimes a bit of change before it becomes effective. Which live-action Batman was the best martial artist? Starting with Adam West, he displayed more of the gentleman's boxing in terms of crime fighting. That, coupled with the wacky gadgets, makes him the lowest on this list. Followed by Michael Keaton, who again showcased more of a simplistic form of punches and kicks, but his technique was far more clean, making him higher on the list. Bale's Batman showed the training it took in order to become Batman, as well as showing more battle strategy. But he was more of an orthodox fighter and did not display as much variety in his technique, so I'm going to have to place him above Keaton, but not number one. And next comes Affleck, who, yeah, it's no contest. From his more brawler-like style, to his various displays of grappling, to his frankly monstrous taking and dishing of punishment. And I can't say anything on Patterson, as I did not see the Batman. Did you hear about those bricks stolen from that construction site? Police are searching for a man with a buzz cut wearing black and white pajamas. Well, the good news is we found the bricks. There are varieties of methods one may use in their martial arts training. Some may use breaking bricks, some may use shadowboxing, and some may use pads. But whatever you use, you have to remember to adhere to 3 basic rules. Number 1, case your environment, and make sure to look out for any hazards. Step 2, maintain your safety at all times. Step 3, especially when working with a partner, remember to go light.
I was assaulted while walking around a couple weeks ago, so come get ready for martial arts class with me. So I Google up a self-defense class, and I was looking, and this self-defense class was like $600. What you gonna do? Are you scared of me yet? Yeah. I've been wanting to learn weapons training and just like stunting type stuff for a while.
Okay, well good on this woman for after getting mugged, not playing the pity party, and instead of just remaining a victim, just deciding to start learning martial arts and self-defense. Good on you. When she said she lived in LA, it suddenly made sense about the pricing. $600? That is the biggest hurdle when it comes to people wanting to learn martial arts, is just the pricing. The fact that you said $600 and you didn't go to that dojo, well done you didn't. That screams Mook Dojo. I get that you're eager and you've built a new passion, but maybe learn to throw a punch before you get to the weapon stuff. Just still, overall, good luck to you, well done, and let us know how it's going.
To find out for myself if Kung Fu is a reality or a myth, I challenged a Kung Fu master to an actual fight.
It's the PB&J of martial arts, Aikido and Kung Fu, 2 martial arts that some people think are the same. In some ways it's quite validating because it's beating the same drum that I have been. If I were to critique the guy's form work from one Kung Fu guy to another, I would say he needs to work on his range. He's doing well with the kicks and keeping a good far out range, but then if he wants to go in for those big closes, like especially those movements where he says, oh yeah, about going for the throats or the eyes or anything, need to get in closer, need to employ like maybe something along the lines of boxing or something, go a bit toe to toe and really close that gap. On the whole, if you're interested in Kung Fu or Aikido, and you want to see how the 2 compare, I would definitely recommend checking this video out for yourself. We are all familiar with the trend of how often do men think about the Roman Empire. And for the record, at least twice a day. But something I read earlier was a comment about how many people had an ancient Egyptian phase as a kid. And that made me wonder, aren't the 2 connected? They're evolutions. It starts in ancient Egypt. We learn about Egyptology, mummies, pyramids, Tutankhamun and Cleopatra. Moving into young adulthood where we lean into our Greco-Roman influences. Maybe spending some time in Florence for the Renaissance. But then as we get even older, heading into middle age, we learn about knights, about castles, about great dynasties and kings. I may have started early. And then heading into old age, where we move into the Industrial Revolution, the Victorian era, steam locomotives. And this is certainly interesting as well. So, I would like to introduce the newest member of the animal spirit family. This is Alfred. He's about 12 weeks old, and already he has a handful.
I've only had Arlo for a day and a half, but if anything happened to him, I would kill everyone in this room and then myself.
He's got a big appetite, I will say. He's gotten into quite the habit of doing little zoomies. He's climbing everywhere. I'll just turn around in a moment and he'll already be on the highest of places. Seriously, he's already gotten into the habit of, once he's eaten his food, which we'll put on the floor, of climbing then onto the top cabinet to eat everyone else's food, the other cat's food. So, welcome Alfred to the channel, and probably in about, 3 months' time, I'll probably give you guys an update and see how big he's gotten.
The power of the sun in the palm of my hand.
Little Goblin Jr. Gonna cry? My back! Oh, my back!
You know, I'm something of a scientist myself. You and I are not so different.
A true sign of knowledge is how well we can pass it on to the next generation. Richard Grayson was born into the circus. As such, he developed his acrobatic ability from an early age. Once he became the apprentice of the Dark Knight, he began to develop his martial skill and eventually mastered many, including Eskrima, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, Taekwondo, Ninjutsu, and Wing Chun, being one of the most notable martial artists in the DC universe, with notable feats including being one of the few to defeat the 600-year-old Ra's al Ghul. In the annals of history, there are many sects of warriors which stand apart for various reasons. But one reason why the Knights Templar stand out, apart from their standing as one of the first multinational corporations, is their standing on the battlefield. Their reverence as they defended the Holy Land. The Knights Templar were known for never retreating from battle, only ever doing so when all of their flag bearers fell in turn. This, in combination with their training and their discipline, is what made them highly revered warriors of God. And that's what really centers their warrior nature, because the Knights Templar believed that even if they did fall in battle, they would still go to heaven, to the kingdom of the Lord. And whether the Knights Templar stand apart today as a landmark part of history during the Middle Ages, or on conspiracy boards everywhere, they still hold great reverence as rationally, that doesn't make any sense. You take away the advantage you had. But I suppose then, it forces your opponent then to have to change up their style. But then it makes it easier as well for your opponents to just do what they've already been doing. No, that doesn't make sense. This guy's just an idiot.
Sometimes my genius is... it's almost frightening.
Yeah, now you've just given this guy the advantage. What are you doing, mate? Yeah, this chap's just a clown.
Know your place, trash!
Dropping out of a jiu-jitsu competition tournament after being told that they would have to fight against biological men who identified as women at the event.
This is still a thing? I thought this was a 2022 thing.
Also, Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling said this about you. She said, "You've done nothing wrong. This isn't and never was about hate. It's about fairness and safety for women and girls."
J.K. Rowling? What are you doing here? I mean, I know fans of it say the BJJ is like magic, but I mean, this is ridiculous. The last time I remember this happening was when there was that MMA match between a trans woman who was actually, you know, a dude, and a female fighter, and unfortunately the female fighter, didn't she get, like, thrashed into oblivion? You would think something like martial arts, where weight classes exist, that it would take more into consideration the biological differences between men and women. This is why I prefer the company of animals, they just make more sense. Hello! Is it still when I left you guys? Time travel, it's a bit like that. I just got back from the Cold War, right? To learn about this secret martial technique that they learned. Now, it's a bit technical, bit controversial, I might not use it in the future. Soviet exploding dogs. Now, here's how they did it. They attached loads of explosives to the dogs, right? Quite explanatory. And the Soviets trained these dogs to climb underneath tanks, preferably enemy tanks, and blow them up. Straightforward plan, right? Perfectly safe, except for the dogs. But here's where things went wrong. They trained these dogs to go under their own tanks during exercises, right? But then, during combat situations, the dogs went under the Soviet tanks. So they just ended up blowing their own tanks. Is that a good dog thing or a bad dog thing? You be the judge of that. Meanwhile, I need to go back in time and find out some more things. See ya! When Edward III came of age, he ousted his guardians, had his mother placed on house arrest with her political powers stripped, and Mortimer was tried and executed as a traitor.
I feel like the maid. I just cleaned up this mess. Can we keep it clean for 10 minutes?
Now, much like Edward I, Edward III was inspired by the Arthurian legends and sought to reclaim the honour of the Plantagenet name. routinely hosting tournaments which served not only as entertainment, but also served as training exercises for the Knights of the Realm. He first sought to quell the Scots before his sights turned to France, where under Henry II the crown had held multiple territories, but had subsequently been lost, mostly by King John.
Oh, King John, what a disaster.
This was the kingship that Edward of Woodstock was born into. If martial practice is about how we interact with the world, and about how we interact with life, would martial arts therefore be equal to life? But what is life? Is there a clear, understandable definition of it? We have the definition of death, entropy, decay, absence, the end, and absence of life. Logic dictates that life holds the opposite definition: growth, existence, ongoing, the story continuing. Not everyone will agree with that definition, yet there exists the immovable fact that those of such disposition are one thing: alive. Life is more than ongoing growth. Life is potential. The infinite majesty and complexity of life from the furthest reaches of the cosmos to the infinitesimal movements of atoms. Growth or continuance cannot happen without the potential for it. Imagine how much potential not only exists outside in the world around you, but also within yourself. Have you heard of the Claw of Archimedes? Man, even the name of that sounds amazing. It was built to defend Syracuse from ship-based attacks around the 200s BC, give or take. It was theorized that it was meant to be more of a crane with a grappling hook attachment that would either submerge ships, capsize them, or cause them to elevate up into the air before eventually bowling over like a turtle. I'm wondering actually how this would stack up against modern ships, but either way, that name is just so brilliant. Archimedes. But either way, I know I wouldn't want to go swimming with that, as